Hey friends, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today we are back with another installment of my favorite color series. This time I'm going to be showing you my favorite pinks. So as you probably know, I am a certified pink lover and we all knew this video was going to be super long. I have 31 favorites to share, so go grab a snack, get comfy, and let's get into the swatches. The first shade I have is Cirque Colors Chiffon, which is their milky pink, and this is easily my fourth bottle of this polish. It is my most used shade and definitely my go-to when it comes to sheer pinks for negative space nails, French tips, what have you. I just really like this one. Granted, I didn't have the best application since I have a skinny brush in mine, but it's still so good. So going into my lighter, springy pink kind of shades, another absolute favorite of mine is Ave Peony, and this is described as a pale peachy pink cream. So as you can see, the formula on this one is chef's kiss for such a light shade. It's super creamy and very opaque, but it doesn't feel thick or chalky like some other really light pastels. I don't think I would call it a one coater though, even though it does give me really great coverage. There were still some light spots that you can see more in real life, but I would still call this a solid two coater. And I just love how soft and romantic this shade is. That slight peachy lean to it makes it so pretty. But for a cool toned pastel pink, my favorite is Holo's Pinky Swear, which is more of a true bubblegum pastel cream that launched earlier this year. I think this shade is just so darling and sweet, especially for the early spring months. And even though I'm not usually the biggest fan of cool tone pinks, I find this one super flattering. I know some people didn't love the formulas of these pastels, but I found this one to be opaque for me in just two coats, so I really love that about this shade. It's just super nice to apply, very smooth and buttery, and it just has such a cute color. Another pastel pink that I love is Color Department's Talk to Me, and this is pretty much very similar to the last shade, but a little bit darker, and I would also say a little bit warmer. It's not as cool leaning as Pinky Swear, at least not in my mind, but it still has that soft and playful or sweet kind of bubblegum color to it, but there's a little bit of dustiness or kind of like a mauve undertone maybe. I think the description actually says it's a hint of pastel rose, which I know is just so extra to describe a pastel pink, but I can see it and I love it. The only thing I don't love about Color Department is their brushes, but I think you can swap them out. This next one is a super oldie in my collection. This is Painted Polish's Converse and Cronuts, and I want to guess it's from 2015, maybe 2016, so definitely a long time. But this has another soft bubblegum pink crully base that is filled with these assorted hex glitters. Most of them are matte and they're in white and pink and blue, but then there's also these gold holographic ones and a sprinkling of silver holo sparkle as well. I just think this is such a cute shade. It immediately reminds me of strawberry frosting with rainbow sprinkles. So this is the polish that I wore for my birthday this year, and it just made me so happy. I really love this one, and I'm kind of kicking myself for not including it in my favorite Crowley's video. This next one is Holo Taco's Menchie the Cat, which is an icy pink micro holo glitter in a clear base. I absolutely adore this one, and I think this is one of those like really versatile glitters where you can wear it in one coat over a clear or sheer pink base for just a super soft, dainty look. Obviously, I don't really love how it looks over my bare nail because they're really badly stained right now, but over a sheer pink is super cute. You can definitely also just wear this as a topper, or of course build it up on its own for a more blingy glittery and sparkly mani. I think it does look nice in 2 coats. I just personally have a little too many bald spots for my taste. I would rather just kind of have it a little bit more opaque, so I ended up doing a 3rd. But you could also sponge this on if you don't want to deal with the application, because it can be a little chunky as expected with these kind of micro hollow glitter formulas, but the finished result is absolutely beautiful. So I really love this one. If you remember my Zodiac favorites series from last year, this was one of my favorites for Libra season. Next, I have Mooncat's Moonrise from the somewhat recent Midnight Rodeo collection. It's a sheer pink jelly base that has this gorgeous blue shimmer as well as these silver holographic flakes. And this is one of those polishes that just gives me instant fairy whimsical vibes. It is just so magical and ethereal. You guys know I'm such a sucker for polishes like this, so I will have a few more coming up. But yeah, I especially love the blue shimmer in this one. It just stands out so nicely. Next, I have Mooncat's Not Today Satan, and this is a light pink linear holographic formula with a beautiful gold shimmer. This one I think came out early last year in the Heavy is the Crown set, and I really love that whole collection, but this was immediately my favorite one. I think it has such a beautiful color, a really nice formula too, I would say. I'm not super into linear holographics, so I don't have that many honestly, but I really love this one. It just has such a gorgeous color, fully opaque for me in 2 coats, and so stunning. So even though this one isn't around anymore, I still had to share this one. This is Mooncat's Robotica, which came out in last year's Cyber set that launched during Black Friday weekend. It was one of their only limited edition collections that wasn't a collaboration, but it featured these linear holographics with a strong shimmer. So it was a cool combination of finishes and just so pretty. But this was easily my favorite one. It has this really icy blue, almost aqua leaning shimmer, so it kind of makes the base color of the pink lean a little bit purple, and it is so gorgeous. I'm honestly kind of surprised that they didn't try to bring this finish back. So continuing on to my sheer ethereal pinks, this next one is ILNP's Pixie Party, and this came out earlier this year in the Fairy Forest collection. No surprise, this was easily one of my favorites from that set. It's just a sheer jelly pink base that has this really pretty cellophane kind of glassy iridescent shimmer in it that shifts from green to aqua in extreme angles, and I am just so obsessed with this color combination. It is just so magical to me. Instant fairy vibes, where it reminds me of like iridescent wings and just like the little glitter sparkles that come after they fly around. I love it. This next one I've already shared on my channel before. This is Pahlish's I Want to Hold Your Ham from Pahlish Pickup a couple of months ago. It is definitely pretty similar to the last shade, where it's a sheer pink base filled with a really strong green to aqua blue shifting shimmer. But hopefully you can tell that the shimmer in this one is actually more intense. I would say that it's a lot more concentrated, so it almost gives it like a sheen as opposed to the individual little shimmer particles that were in ILNP. So still a different finish despite being the same kind of color, and I am obsessed with this shade. It's super glowy on the second coat, but I actually really love how it looks on one coat. It just has such a cellophane look to it. This next one is Great Lakes Lacquer, The Village Chief, and it's a warm corally pink jelly base with a strong green to aqua shifting shimmer. Are we seeing a trend here? These shades have me in a chokehold, and I will gladly pass away from it. They are just so freaking stunning, especially how the shimmer is just so intense. Again, these are shades that I love wearing in just one coat alone, or you can build them up for an even more intense glow on 2 coats and also to build up the base color. It's just so stunning, and the shimmer is super strong in this one. So special thank you to my bestie for gifting me this. So I can't talk about shimmery pink sheers without talking about Mooncat's A Midsummer's Dream. This came out in last year's Once Upon a Fairy Tale collection, and no surprise, it was my favorite shade. This is a super sheer, almost crelly leaning pink color that has the most intense blue shimmer. It is one of those shades that I think would be considered ghostly, as Caitlin Swatches has put me on to calling these shades, where in some angles you can barely tell that you're like wearing the polish, but then in others you see that shimmer and it just smacks you in the face. It is just so glowy, so ethereal. I love it. Another Mooncat pink that I love, but I don't talk about enough, is Velvet Rose, and this was from their Return of the Faves collection. I think originally it was called Crystal Rose, and it's this really warm but kind of dusty pink magnetic polish with a really icy pink to silver shifting shimmer, and there's also these holographic micro flakes or micro glitters outside of that as well. So it is just super sparkly and icy, which I think brightens it up considering the base color is a little bit on the maybe deeper side. So I guess I could see myself wearing this like in the fall if I am gonna go with a cat eye look, which I think looks super pretty here. I especially love all of that hollow sparkle, but if you know me, you know that I prefer wearing my magnetics with a velvet effect, and I mean, I think it's so fitting for this one called Velvet Rose. So here's my little tutorial. I just hold the magnet to the side while I'm painting my nail and then immediately move it to the other side once I finish my coat, and this magnetizes so beautifully. I think it gives such a nice contrast and is so pretty, and I think on its own it just kind of has more of like a metallic sort of look to it, so that's pretty too if you're going for that. Next, we have Cirque Colors Rosewater Jelly, and this is such a perfect palette cleanser in my opinion. This is a cool-toned pink jelly polish, and it just is so flattering, especially once it is built up and you get more of that color. You definitely can wear this in one coat for that kind of your nails but slightly fresher. Obviously, my nails are super stained. I haven't buffed them in a while, but when they are less stained, this does look really nice in one coat. It definitely is more of that jelly finish as opposed to a milky finish like chiffon. Just in case you're not interested in those kind of sheer pinks, I think this is a great alternative, and it looks super pretty once it starts to build up in two coats. You get a little bit more of that color, and it's so nice. So getting into some of the brighter, more summery pinks, this next one is Zoya Kay, and it's described as a bright paradise pink cream, which I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I guess it does remind me of a pink I would love to wear if I was on a tropical vacation. This one is just so bright and beautiful. I mean, mine does have the skinny brush, so kind of struggled with the application a little bit, but it is still pretty full coverage for the first coat alone. So this is a solid 2-coater for me. But yeah, the color on this one is just so pretty. I especially love wearing this as like a transitional pink going from spring to summer, where I'm not quite ready for the hot pink shades, but I do want something really bright and juicy. I think this is so gorgeous. But if I do want something bright, like some neons, the first one I have is Cirque Colors Shopaholic, and this came out earlier this year as a part of their Vice collection, and it was immediately my favorite shade. It's hard to say if this is my favorite neon pink because I have a few, but this is definitely my favorite neon pastel pink, if that counts. I think this is actually described as like a highlighter pink cream, which I think is a cute way to describe it. It definitely has a much lighter, almost white base kind of color to it as opposed to the super hot pinks, but it is just so gorgeous, so bright. I really love this one. For a more true pink neon though, I absolutely love Dimension Nails Pink Manta Ray. This came out in last year's summer collection, which was already filled with the most gorgeous range of neons, and Dimension Nails is one of my favorites for their cream formulas. They are so good. Do you see this? One coat coverage. It is insane. I'm a big fan of her formulas, especially her creams, and these neons are so good. Obviously, I especially love this pink one. It is just so bright, to the point that I would kind of consider this like a Barbie pink, maybe. I know it's a little bit more blue leaning, but I think it works. And for the true hot pink neon, I, of course, had to include ILNP's Two Piece. This is so intense. I just don't have the words for it. It is just so beautiful, and I think this one has a really great formula. I know this one came out, I think, 2 or 3 summers ago, but they did recently reformulate their creams. And while I'm not the biggest fan of their cream formulas, I do think this one has a really great one. It was super full coverage on the first coat alone and very even. I don't know if I would really go as far as calling it a 1-coater, but this is a solid 2-coater for me. So lush, and I just can't get over how bright this is. It is eye-searing. So moving away from neons, but still continuing with the bright hot pink shades, this next one is Holo Taco's Life in Plastic, which I do have the coffin emoji there because it is a limited edition shade from the recent anniversary collection this past summer. As of recording this, it is still available, but it might not be for long. But this is a bright pink jelly polish with scattered holographic sparkle. And if you know me, you know that I love this finish so much, especially for the summer months. So I was a pretty big fan of this collection overall, but obviously the biggest fan of this shade specifically. It is just so cute, so Barbie. I love it. Another sparkly jelly holo that I love is ILNP's Playdate, and this came out last year in the Splashed collection in the summertime. I was so obsessed with the marketing that I picked up the collection right away. It just is so gorgeous. This has a really squishy jelly base color that is absolutely packed with these scattered microflakes. And it has a fantastic formula where I feel like you can wear this in one coat because it just self-levels really well and is super even. So if you do want that super squishy, almost jelly sandwich type of look, one coat is the way to go. But generally, I just build this up in 2 coats because it deepens the color a little bit more. It has an almost watermelon kind of feel to it. I think it's so yummy for summer. Another sparkly pink jelly that I love is Cirque Colors Say Chic, and this is a hot pink jelly with dazzling blue to purple color shifting shimmer and a delicate holographic sparkle. This came out in the Discotheque collection, I believe last year in the spring, maybe early summer, but it was such a beautiful collection. You probably know by now that I am a huge fan of this finish from Cirque, where it's that dainty hollow with the shimmer and it's like a little sheer. I think they just do this formula so well. This one is definitely more on the jelly side compared to some others that lean a little bit crelly-ish, but I love it. Speaking of hot pink jellies for summer, this next one is XOXO jelly, also from Cirque Colors, and this is one of my favorite jellies from them as well. I mean, they have so many and they're all amazing, but I just especially love this one. I just love a good hot pink in the summertime, and I especially love a jelly formula because it gives it that really juicy, squishy look when you build it up on its own, either in 2 or 3 coats, depending on how much nail line you're comfortable with seeing. But I think it's also super fun to wear with a glitter or flaky, especially if you sandwich it in between. It is just so fun and playful and colorful, everything that I love for the summertime. The only downside to this one is that it does stain. And my last sparkly hot pink is Ave's Lisa, which I've shared a couple of times on my channel already, most recently as a part of my summer favorites. This year, I just absolutely adore this one. It's a hot pink base that's a little bit sheer on the first coat, but very even coverage, so it's a solid 2-coater for me. And this one has this really beautiful blue shimmer in there, so it adds a touch of sparkle. I really love this one and definitely recommend it if you want a sparkly hot pink, but it's a little bit more opaque. I know usually I go for the sheer kind of ones, but this one's really great and full coverage. Now getting into some slightly darker pinks, I really have been loving Londontown Lacquer's Flushed Cheeks, which I know definitely is kind of bright looking, so I am putting this one here because it's like a late summer pink for me. Where it's like getting darker and getting me ready for those fall kind of lipstick shades, as I like to call them. I just absolutely adore the color of this one. I think it's so flattering and it has such a lush formula. As you saw, it was nearly opaque in one coat, so if your nails are shorter, you might be able to get away with that. So for my lipstick pinks, my favorite one is Zoya's Marcia, which I don't even remember which collection it came out in, maybe the Rose palette, but this is one of those absolutely lush, rosy blush shades that has such a creamy formula. This is another one that I think can work in one coat, especially if you have shorter nails, but I'm doing two just to, I don't know, have that complete mani feel. And I just absolutely love the pink tone in this one. It is so beautiful, so romantic and soft and so flattering. And speaking of blush shades, I of course had to include Holotaco's Lowkey blushing from the recent Down to Earth bundle. I absolutely adore this shade. It's just such a romantic, soft neutral, but with that little bit of pink color to it that just warms it up. I know some people might think this color is like so boring or dated, but I definitely love it. I think it's just so elegant and classy. Another recent Holotaco pink that I've been loving is Bury Me in Holo from the Sophia collection, and unfortunately this one is sold out now, but I hope that they do bring back something somewhat similar at least, because this one is so beautiful. It's a gorgeous deep berry pink in their new crushed holographic formula, which I already am a big fan of, but having this deepened pink color is just so yummy. I think it works great for the fall, obviously, but there's something about it that feels really appropriate for winter too. Like, it just reminds me of frozen or sugar covered berries, and I just think it's so yummy and so pretty. Another sparkly pink that also feels appropriate for the winter time is NCLA's Girl with the Most Cake, and I am so sad to have recently discovered that NCLA doesn't make nail polishes anymore. I don't know when this happened because I just have a couple of polishes from them, but I really like them, so super bummed that this one isn't around anymore either. It seems like it's another one of those jelly holographic formulas, kind of like ILNP or Holotaco, but this one isn't holographic. It's just kind of like a silver twinkly glitter, so I really love that because sometimes I don't necessarily want holo. I don't know, maybe that's a crazy statement, but I think this one is just so beautiful. It has such a subtle, dainty sparkle, but it's still very packed, obviously, and I love the color that it builds up to, especially in 3 coats once it's fully opaque. So you probably noticed that I prefer to wear hot pinks in the summertime, but this one I think works so well in the colder months. This is England Dracula, which is a 1-coat hot pink linear holo. It is insane. I still remember the first time just applying this shade. England holos in general are like 1-coaters, so they are absolutely amazing if you haven't tried them before, but this one is just so breathtaking. And rounding out my favorite pinks, this is Kathleen Co's Imagine, which came out in their winter/holiday collection last year. I fell in love when I first saw the swatches from Caitlin Swatches here on YouTube. I'm sure you all follow her already. This was just love at first sight with this shade. It's this really dainty, soft, romantic pink shade that's like a linear holographic formula, but it also has this really strong gold shimmer. And if you watched my favorite shimmers video, you know that I love a good gold shimmer, especially in like a pink base. I think it's so pretty. I don't know, it just reminds me of like a winter sunrise. I love this. And finally, here are the collages. This is the lighter springy half where we have the jellies and pastels on the top row, and then the bottom two are the shimmers. Obviously, I have a type. I'm so proud to admit it. And speaking of a type, my brighter pinks are obviously a lot of hot pinks, and surprisingly not that many kind of muted or rosy fall shades. So if you have any other recommendations that would fit along that bottom row, please let me know. So that wraps up my favorite pink nail polishes. So as always, I can't wait to hear what you think of my choices. Obviously, you have to let me know some of your favorite pink polishes, and especially if we have any in common, or if you just have recommendations for pinks that I might like. I am open to hearing them, even though I know I shouldn't be getting more polishes. I am just such a sucker, so at the very least I can like window shop, you know? But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video as much as I did. I'm kind of at a loss now for what color to do next. I know I did mention doing like a favorite periwinkles, but I feel like that would be more fitting to come out in December. So let me know if you'd want to see maybe my favorite golds or like rose golds. Not that I have that many, but I don't know, I think maybe it could be fitting for like November. But I do have a few other colors that I plan to share, but we pretty much are done with like the rainbow portion. Now there's just like the miscellaneous shades. So if you do have any other colors that you want to see me review, then let me know. But thank you so much for hanging out with me in this super long video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.